An audience is a smaller segment of your entire population based on some predefined characteristics that you set. Okay, so you could have a population of 10,000 contacts in MobileMonkey. You might have 5,000 men, 5,000 women. You could create an audience of men, which will have 5,000 people on it, and you can create an audience of women, which will have 5,000 people on it, okay? That's basically how audience works, but they can become more sophisticated and more narrow based on specific user characteristics. And you could also create audiences based on other sorts of characteristics, like when they became a contact and different key events that might have taken place. So we might want to talk about a couple interesting use cases for audiences in MobileMonkey. So let's say we are a B2B lead gen company, okay? So we sell, let's say, hosting, okay? We sell web hosting. So you're running marketing campaigns to get people to submit a contact form, to call your call center, download your content. So you might want to have, you might want to start segmenting your leads out by type of seniority. Let's say seniority. So you write, let's say, title, okay? Now it might be important to you based on the services you could provide and the level of contracts, how large the company is, or how many visits a website gets a month. So you might do title, and you might also do people that have VP in their title, and their website is, you know, they get more than 50,000 people a day, okay? Now, you might be asking me, well, where are these characteristics coming from? Great, I'd love to have an audience for VPs with 50,000 visitors a day because I'll send them different content than I would send interns who are in my MobileMonkey list with 2K, with traffic that 2,000 hits to a website. I don't want to market to these two people the same way, right? This is basic segmented marketing 101. So these are, if you remember, custom variables. Throughout your bot creation, you're going to have to ask custom variables to get people on the audiences that you want to create. So you're going to have to ask, how many visits does your website get a month? What's your title in exchange for an ebook in the past? And understanding the audiences you want to have in marketing, it's a really good way to begin thinking about how you want to structure your bots, because you want to structure your bots in ways that you could ask people for the characteristics to self-identify with important characteristics. For example, like Sofamania, right? Our client that we've been using as an example in a lot of these lectures is e-commerce, right? And here's a few things that are important to them. Gender, okay? We see different buying habits by gender. We see different buying habits by age. We see different buying habits by location, okay? These are location, gender, these are variables that Facebook is giving to us already. We see different buying habits by level of education, okay? Like where they're holding, are they in college, are they afterwards? Recent life events, that's an important one that we can get from Facebook if we ask the question. Like if a person just moved to a new apartment or just had a baby, or just did a renovation, these are really, really awesome things that we could figure out. And then of course there's their previous engagement with our site, okay? Like you know, and this is the same type of things we talk about in remarketing all the time. When you remarket to people, you want to be as individualized and as personalized as possible. The beautiful thing about bots is that we can get all this information. So in an e-commerce bot for Sofamania, I can start collecting information about, do you have any, you know, select the most recent life event and give them 4 different options and see, and then I can start creating a list of people who recently moved. I could start creating a list of people who are in college now and they might need a love seat for the dorm. And we know which sofas, which love seats, which recliners are being bought most frequently by people in college. We know which sectionals, which velvet sectionals are going into people's first apartments, okay? We have that data. So if we could figure out who that is in MobileMonkey, we could then send a picture of the right sofa, of the right product at the right time, with the right marketing message to the right person. That's why audiences are so powerful. These are just a couple use cases for audiences, but the basic rule of thumb is figure out who your website visitors are. Figure out who are the people who have converted. A really good trick I always tell people is go into Google Analytics, as long as you have conversion tracking set up. You go into Google Analytics, you go into your acquisition report, you filter out by people who have converted, and you take a look at their demographic breakdown. Analyze your previous converters. What age groups are they in? What affinity audiences and in-market segments does Google assume they're in? That's a great place to start. It's such an easy trick and so many marketers overlook it. Look at the affinity in-market segments and the affinity reports in Google Analytics for previous website converters. You'll get a lot of information about who these people are and what audiences you want to aim to build. Now, if you have 1,000 contacts in MobileMonkey, you're not going to be able to build such narrow. It's not going to be worth your while to build, audiences with 2 people on it. The whole point of audiences is that I could send out a mass message to a good group, a good sized group of people that are in a similar bucket. They don't have to be exactly the same. They don't need to have the same hair color or height, but they're similar enough. My recommendation is to not create lists where you have fewer than 150 to 200 people on the list, okay? So if you have fewer than 150, 200 contacts in MobileMonkey altogether, maybe make 2 audiences, but you could typically use your all contacts audience. That's my general rule of thumb. There's lots of different ways. There's no way to go through all the different permutations of your audience. Where are audiences actually used in MobileMonkey? Well, we know for sure they're used in chat blasts. When you set up a chat blast, we've seen you have to select an audience you want that chat blast to go to. We haven't gone to drip campaigns yet, but we will. And you're gonna see that when you set up drip campaigns, you choose which audience you want your drip campaigns to go to, all contacts or segmented lists. The more segmented out your drip campaigns, chat blasts are, the better your bots are going to perform. We also have use for audiences in our widgets. If you remember, we had the navigate widget, which allows you to choose an audience that you've created and move them to a specific page, which means that if a person at any point in this chat funnel gets onto a certain audience, once they hit this navigate widget, they'll be moved to a certain page. It's a cool way and a creative way to segment out your actual bot flows when you're building your bots using audiences there. So that's another really cool use of audiences. The main thing to take away is that just like I taught you, it's just as important to learn how to use these lead magnets like landing pages, the chat blast, drip campaign, so on and so forth, as it is to actually learn how to build bots. It's also just as important to understand what audiences you're aiming to create. If you understand going in the audiences you want, like we know for our clients, we want to use MobileMonkey to get women age 30 and up who recently moved into a new apartment. We want that audience because we know how to convert them. So you need to know the 3-4 audiences that you know how to convert for your business or for your client's business, and those are the audiences that you're going to aim to create.